is to deal with our technology in the absence of our web development officer. Oh no, she's actually over there. Paul, your time begins when you start speaking, okay?
Christopher Hitchens once said, homosexuality is not just a form of sex, it's a form of love, and it deserves our respect for that reason. This is why I have stated in my manifesto that I will campaign for the management to proactively tackle homophobia and other discrimination that exists in Heythrop. The LGBTQ plus community of Heythrop and other minorities at Heythrop deserve to be treated with the respect, as Christopher Hitchens alludes to not feel that way in an environment where we cannot be true to ourselves. I have come across a Fordham sign that was defaced with the word homosexuals. I've been in a lecture where a student has tried to tell myself and other students that feminism shouldn't exist because it says in the Bible that man came before a woman. We are supposed to be living attending a 21st century institution, not a medieval theocratic state. As LGBTQ plus officer, I will not stop until the management start tackling this important issue seriously. I will also change the role in which the name of the officer will become LGBTQ plus to highlight the recent shift in the LGBTQ plus community to recognise people who do not ascribe labels to their sexuality and or gender. I will also change the role description to an LGBTQ plus officer that works towards achieving and upholding a high standard of equality at Heythrop for all minorities, whilst keeping LGBTQ plus issues their priority. I will hold events such as introducing speakers from charities such as Stonewall and trans charities such as Mermaids to highlight the issues of equality that still exist in society when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. I will also take a very proactive stance on transgender issues, in which the ignorant attitude society can have towards the community was highlighted by the recent death of Leah Alco's family just because the LGBT officer exists to serve the needs of the LGBTQ plus community. That does not mean that I'm here exclusively for that community. Although it will be my priority, I will be here to serve the needs of all of Heythrop.
Now, does anyone have any questions for Paul? Fergus.
Let's say, hypothetically, that Heythrop's management is in some way resistant to the idea. Purely hypothetically. Resistant to what you said you want to do. How do you plan on actually getting them to do anything?
Well, I will canvass fellow students to campaign alongside me to show the management that we will not stand for such blatant discrimination in an institution that's supposed to be a theology and a philosophy college, not a college that promotes homophobia and other types of discrimination. And I'm genuinely being honest that I will not stop until the management actually takes a stance, because it's pathetic that in these times we're still getting all this abuse from the management, and then even some lecturers. So.
Yeah, but how?
You
canvass students, and then what?
I'd hold meetings with the equalities, the person in charge of equality, and I just keep reminding and holding meetings with. I try and get hold meetings with Holman himself and other members of the faculty, and just try and tell them that this stuff shouldn't be happening.
Do you feel your answer has been answered correctly, or adequately, rather? Has anyone got any other questions for Paul?
Just to go on Fergus's,
No, you go first.
To go on Fergus's point, some of these management and lecturers believe these, homophobic claims. So it's more of a change of not just getting them to understand, but changing their whole faith and belief. So how are you going to change it when, you know, people with higher up also like things like this?
I understand that they hold these beliefs and they might hold them dearly to themselves, but it's the fact that they should know that if it's going to offend someone, or for like who they are, or for like just for being a woman, they should understand that they should not, like even like in classes and lectures, and like they should like know like when enough is enough, like when to like tell students who could be like saying homophobic comments, like when to like stop.
Yes.
That's been answered correctly. At the back, question?
You speak of equality in Heythrop, and you say, and with the absence of like a female welfare officer for next year, as it would seem, would your campaigning for equality also extend to feminism?
Yes, I believe that as a minority group, especially at Heythrop, where the majority, where there's a lot of males and not many females, I believe that we should work together, because historically we've always worked together, and I don't see why that can't happen at Heythrop.
Has that been answered correctly? Just as one point of information, by-elections may or may not take place pending the pending the results of the OGM next week. So I advise you all to attend the OGM next week just to go over these strategic matters. So we may have a female welfare officer in place before the end of the academic year, but that is pending, obviously, the OGM next week. So that's a small point of information. Annabella Jones, then Fergus.
So you have talked about equality, and we just mentioned feminism, and Kate was talking about religious views. Are you going to respect people's religious views while you go about trying to change them? Like, I think it's quite a difficult atmosphere here, and I'm not saying that homophobia is right, it's definitely not, but I think we're in a community where some people, yes, don't believe it's okay to be gay because it goes against their religion, but I don't think you can try and storm your force down and then saying you're trying to give equality to everyone. Like, I think that's quite difficult. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if I can change people's opinions about issues such as gay people and women and feminism for that matter, that's great, but I will still respect the views that religious people hold, because I'm religious as well, and if someone tried to attack my beliefs, I'd be offended, so I understand what that's like. So while I will fight to get rid of homophobia and sexism at Heythrop, I'll do it in a way which still respects the religious beliefs of others. Does that?
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Fergus, your question, please.
Do you think that Heythrop is institutionally homophobic?
Yeah.
Besides anything that supports that belief? Can you cite any particular event or fact which supports that belief?
Well, there's been instances when I've heard lecturers talking about it, and I think generally the management tend to ignore and avoid issues such as LGBT issues and
Okay, so you mentioned management ignoring such issues and maybe particular lecturers feel like that. Ignoring or encouraging homophobic beliefs throughout this the question time. Would you campaign for those members of staff to be fired if they didn't change?
I think they can have those opinions personally, but if they were to view them, I would expect them to be fired, because in line with the Equality Act and which protects marginalised groups, and then they're not allowed to do it. It's outlawed. They cannot publicly attack someone for being gay, being a woman, being disabled. Is that allowed?
Folks, does that answer your question adequately?
Yeah.
I'm afraid we've come to time on questions. If you have any other questions for Paul, please do ask them in the period after everyone has given their own speeches. So let's thank Paul very much. And Paul also affords me the wonderful but shameless opportunity to plug the Equality Forum, which is happening on Monday, so please do check your emails. You'll have one from the Dean, which details when and where it takes place. I'll be there, so I hope to see some of you too. Now I invite Rhiannon, who's applying or nominated herself to be an events officer for the next year. Rhiannon, your time starts from when you first start to speak.
Okay. Hello everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Rhiannon and I'm running for events. Why am I running for events? I'm running because I think next year especially is going to be a challenging time for this college. With no undergraduate to cater for, the event side of the union can either crumble or flourish. Anyone who knows me can attest to the fact that I continually bore everyone about seizing the day and making most of the time that we have here. I personally think that with the right amount of enthusiasm and attitude, it can actually be a good thing that there's no new people here next year in terms of events. I think we can all agree the truth of the matter is that most of us by next year should know each other in some capacity, and that what works for us should basically then be the only thing that matters. If I was an events officer, I would try to make it as collaborative and cohesive as possible, and if anyone had an idea for an event, I'm all ears. And if something isn't working, I would be open to criticism. So this is tiny, so I'm trying to zoom.
You don't get any time.
We are, after all, a small specialist college. Our tastes, at least academically, are similar, and we have a community that thrives despite its setbacks. It is within this community that I hope to make events as fun and different and inclusive as possible. I think events are run really well, and I think Freshers Week was a success, and if something's not broke, why fix it? There are already some great events that happen here, and I'd love to carry them on, but there are some things that are lacking, and I think need some work. I'm not blind to the fact that a lot of us are moving away from halls next year, and getting all of us to the same place at the same time is going to be a challenge. But I'm not afraid of hard work, and it's because I love Heythrop that I want to give us the best events that we can have next year between what we all have going on right now. I can't read from this anymore, it's really tiny. The union's clearly going to struggle next year. We're in uncharted territory, and the fact that nominations are so sparse this year I think reflects the fact that we're all a bit worried about what it might be to be here next year without undergraduates. The only thing that I can promise is that if I'm elected, I'll put everything I have into making sure this doesn't mean everyone fades away into their collective peaks, and we become a fragmented Heythrop full of small groups with niche nights out. If I have to finish now, then I'll say basically vote for me. I work at a party shop and there's no one else running, so...
We will allow Nonnie to take a drink from her Doom Bar, which has been purchased from the HSU bar, and I invite all of you to visit that HSU bar where I have also purchased wonderful ale at some point this evening. Now, does anyone have any questions for Nonnie? Annabelle Jones first, please.
Are you a member of any societies?
Yes, I'm a member of the Feminist Society.
Cool. Any
That's
more?
fine. No,
Okay. That's all I was just
that's it.
Okay, go ahead. Well, hold on. Do you feel that that's answered that?
Well, yeah, because that was the question. It was just...
Oh no, I signed up for a lot of events when I worked at the Freshers Fair.
Yeah.
But
No, I know how it works. I was just seeing, like,
yeah,
where you were
literally
in terms
one.
of current events that are happening within societies. Does that make sense? I just wanted to gauge the
One
state.
society.
You have to say that, don't you?
Kate.
So you said what strives and what's lacking, but can you elaborate?
I think what's been working well, and in terms of what Declan and Jacob have done this year, they've tried to put on a variety of events that happen in Heythrop, happen outside of Heythrop. I don't know if the promotion's gone that well. I've frequently been told, like 7 PM tonight is a comedy night, which I haven't heard about. I'm on Facebook. I follow you guys on Twitter. I do a lot. I'm sure you guys have told me, but in terms of not seeing a poster, I think things can fall through the cracks quite easily. And I think also what doesn't work is we don't show up to stuff. And maybe the fact that people don't show up because they don't feel events is being run well, or they don't think there's enough variety on. But in terms of events that are only going to be as good as the people that show up to them, And I'll try and be as inclusive, I'll try and vary things as much as I can. It's a 2-person role. I've not backed down, although the fact that there's not going to be a second person unless someone gets re-nominated. So I think it shows that my commitment, I want events to be good. But I'll throw things, you guys show up, that would be a good deal. And if it's not going well, come and tell me. If it's going well, tell me what's working, tell me what's not. I'll be open to it. And next year there's going to be a third less of us. So if someone's got an idea for a night out and no win, tell me. And I will do my best and give you guys a budget to do it with.
Can I have
Is that a follow-up question?
have you got any examples of what events you want?
Okay, well, this is something that I'm piggybacking on because I didn't come up with it originally, but apparently there was a zombie apocalypse night. I thought that sounded really fun, and I think that would be a great idea to do because we're so small.
Isn't that's not brilliant, is it?
It's next week.
The end of the world party, is that, in terms of what I was thinking, I mean, okay, shameless plugging again, but this week, Ben and I ran a hidden Heythrop event, which was a scavenger hunt all around. I think in terms of events, it went quite well. We had quite a good turnout. People that came seemed to have fun. And so stuff like that means coming to Heythrop, coming together, because there'll be so few of us next year. Making the most of London is something that I'd like to do, but making the most of our grounds, because they're beautiful and there's so many hidden bits to it. Doing stuff like that is something that I would like to make the most of, because events is a lot more than this bar. It can be run in so many different areas. And again, if I don't have an adequate answer, please come to me and tell me what you think is lacking, and let's make it a dialogue. I hope that answers your question.
Fabulous. Mr. Holland, then Ms. Simpson.
I want to firstly start by commending you for acknowledging it's going to be very, very difficult next year. When you first came to speak, what are you going to do about Freshers Week?
Do you mean refresh this week since there'll be no freshers?
Yeah.
Well, until I know if I'm going to be in events or not, I wouldn't know. But if I did get nominated, then I would go around and ask people that lived in halls and who didn't, what worked at freshers, even people that are going to their third year, what worked for their freshers, and keep talking to the places that we have links with. And I know I know that you personally said we have quite good links with places like the Black Bar. That seems to be something that we all enjoy going to. Refreshers could be quite sad because there'll be no freshers. But if you nominate me, I will endeavour to make it something that means it's all friends that you already know. So let's have the best time that we can. I don't think that answers your question that well.
Mr. Holland, question, follow-up question.
So, for example, this Freshers Week, when if you lose over £5,000 on Freshers Week because you do so many events. Do you see yourself doing a week and a half events, or do you see yourself doing a select few?
I think do less events really well than try and do lots of events half-assed. So I would do less events.
I'm not sure what that implies about our events, but Mr. Holland,
nothing with the events you guys have run. This is going forward, not looking back.
Mr. Holland, as a former events officer, do you feel those have answered your questions?
Definitely.
Very good. Ms. Simpson, you're next in line then, Fergus.
I'd like to come back to earlier in Heythrop, that was really kind of good the other day. I'm sorry if this has already been answered, but I couldn't hear at the back. Is there a reason why your manifesto isn't up online?
Yes, and apart from just please asking for all of you guys to be gentle with me, I have had an incredibly insane week. I did run Hidden Heythrop with Fenner, which was an event, and I'm not currently the events officer. It was something that took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I've also been working part-time and had 2 deadlines this week. So please don't take that as the fact that this is the last thing on my priorities. It really, really isn't. I'm really passionate and I want to be the events officer, but it has fallen through the cracks. And I will have a manifesto up tonight. You will be able to read it. I'm so, so sorry that it's not up at the moment, and I commend all of you guys coming up on time. I'm just asking for your forgiveness because it's shit that I don't have it up now.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, that event was really good, so like, I can understand that in part-time jobs. Is, like, I work really hard as a union officer, so I know
Time
how hard it is.
management, I will work on it.
Yeah.
Okay, Fergus, you're the last question of this round, then we'll have a little...
Have a chance, I assure you.
Fergus, please ask your question.
Yeah, the bar's had a checkered history in terms of making, getting people to attend and making money and stuff. How are you going to improve that? And secondly, I've got 2. Secondly, you sort of spent a lot of time saying, I'll talk to people about it, see what they want, blah, blah, blah. Personally, I'd rather have seen you come with ideas, which I could decide what I would vote you on, rather than simply I'll do what you say. But can you give me an actual solid example, this is somewhat related to my first question, of something you would do which hasn't been done before, hasn't been done?
Okay, well, to answer your first question, the things that I personally, and I haven't spoken to people, think is wrong with the bar, or the few things that could be improved upon, the lighting in here is pretty terrible. It does not have a bar atmosphere. I feel like I'm in a canteen, even at the moment, and it's like hot under the lights. Get a couple of lamps out, make the lighting better. The fact that it's a cash-only bar, I think we could somehow try to have it so you can pay on card, because sometimes I've wanted to come to the bar and thought, actually, I've got no cash, so there's no point. And maybe just rejig the seating and the actual look of the place, because it's painted this colour which I can't even quite describe. It's like a dead mushroom. But if it looked nicer, if we could pay on card and the lighting was better, I think it would look more like a bar. We're all students, we like a drink, so I think that would be better. Sorry, just to answer your second question, I do have lots of ideas. I did write them in my speech, and under pressure I forgot most of them. But the only thing I can say is the one event that I've thrown with Fenner, and thank you to Fenner, has been Hidden Heythrop, which is something I'd love to carry on. Scavenger hunts, getting the most out of the place, and then even extending it into Kensington or London, and having people get drinks, get rewards, win prizes to show up, because sometimes I think we need to incentivise our tiny community.
All right, Fergus. Good. Thank you very much. Let's all thank Nonny for her speech. As a fucking point of information, Matt and I are working on a proposal for new furniture and the likes of the JCR, so yeah, we are aware of these things. It's alright, mate. Firstly, actually, no, let us thank all of our candidates for talking and answering your questions thus far. So the full proceedings of tonight are semi-over, which means if you do wish to go to the bar, I won't scowl at you whilst at the microphone. What I will ask you to do is to remember that none of these candidates have to be in positions. You can all vote RON, which stands for Reopen Nomination. So that means if you don't think any of these beautiful people should actually be in the positions that they're going for, you can make that not happen by voting RON, which will reopen nominations at the next convenient point. So now, after I have a sit with this, which I advise you two to do as well, is to ask these beautiful people questions. So if you could raise your hands, and then once I allow you to speak, you will ask, or you will say who it is to, and then say the question. Okay? So let's just go from left and front to back. So we'll go Kate first.